Good afternoon. Hello, my name is Dakota Avellino, and this is my career project video. If you see me looking over here, it's because I have a list of all the points that I need to hit in this video, because if not, then I'll get off pace because I have ADHD. And also because I have a list of the chemical stuff that is at the end, and not chemical. I don't even know what the word is to use. You'll see. And I can't really pronounce them, so I have to look at them to see how to pronounce them. That's okay. So first of all, my career that I've chosen to do this project on and what I want to be when I grow up is an OBGYN, specifically of the surgical variety, because, you could be just a gynecologist, And the reason why I want to be one is because I've been surrounded by medical people, people in the medical profession, my entire life. My dad, my mom, my ex-stepmom. That's pretty much it. But they, from a young age, I was pretty much surrounded by that. And that was kind of my expectations from my family, that I was going to go into a field like that. And, it's not a forceful thing, I don't have to, but I want to, is what I'm saying. So, first of all, I already named my career. The job description is an OBGYN, specifically a surgical OBGYN, does surgeries and other care to do with the female reproductive system. They can deal with cancer, the baby as well, if you're pregnant. If a woman is pregnant is what I meant to say. They deal with the health of the baby while in utero. They deal with fertility, and they deal with the urinary system of a woman as well. Because there's differences between men and women as well. So, education requirements, of course, you need a doctorate, but before that is also a bachelor's degree. So that's 8 years total for I'm pretty sure. And then you have your residency, which for OBGYNs, I believe, is 5 years. Salary, you start off at about $65,700 as a intern, which I feel that's off, but that's what I got when I did my research. For the average, and for 10 to 15 years, I did the same number because it's kind of iffy. So it's $235,433. I'm put the number right here because I may have said it wrong. And for in other countries, Switzerland has the highest average at $374,000. $374,000. Yeah. So with worldwide availability, there is always a need for OBGYNs everywhere because there's women everywhere, and women need OBGYNs at least once in their life, more than once in their life. I mean, for reproductive health, if you have a child, you're gonna need one. So there's a need for them everywhere. For demand is due to increase by 8%. Because there's people that want to be OBGYNs, but it's going to take a long time for them to finally be able to actually practice, because they have to do the 8 years of schooling and then 5 years of a residency, which is 13 years plus, depending on what the situation is. And then job growth is kind of iffy because again, you start off as an intern if you're for residency, and you start off as an intern, and then from there you kind of you go into, you become a junior resident, a senior resident, you could become chief resident, then you're an actual, you're not really learning anymore, in attending, for example. Or you can start your own practice, You could go on to be the head of OBGYN, as a whole in the future, at your hospital or at your office, wherever you work, all of that jazz, you know what I mean? And then from there, you could, I guess, if you want to reach for the stars, you could become, chief of surgery at a hospital. For other information, fun facts, I decided to go on about subspecialties off of OBGYN. So there's 4, and I'm holding up my fingers or else I'll forget them all. So there's maternal and fetal medicine, which deals with the health of a pregnant mother and her baby, both in utero. So if you have a specific type of weird disease, your baby is born with its heart outside of its body, or you have 2 uteruses, or like conjoined twins or something, you know, like something that's out of the ordinary. Reproductive endocrinology and infertility, which is focusing on the endocrinology side of the female reproductive system, which is like hormones, and infertility, which is, you know, if you can't have a kid, then, you know, you need a fertility doctor if you need extra help, I guess. Urogynecology and reconstructive pelvic surgery. So they pretty much focus on the female urinary tract as well as the pelvis and all that jazz. Reconstructive pelvic surgery is, you know, they complete reconstructive pelvic surgeries. Okay. Oh, gynecologic oncology, which is pretty self-explanatory. Maybe it's not, but oncology is like cancer and gynecologic oncology. It's pretty much like cancers that are specific to the female reproductive system. Vulvar cancer, ovarian cancer, not ovular, ovarian, vaginal cancer, cervical cancer, uterine cancer, all that. So those are the 4 subspecialties. Job outlook. As long as like OBGYNs aren't replaced by like robots, then there's always going to be a place for an OBGYN. Famous people. Metrodora was an ancient Greek. Yes, was a Greek physician in the 3rd century who wrote a book called The Diseases and Cures of Women. And it was a book that was used for like centuries afterwards. That was pretty much, she was the first woman that we know of to ever write a book on medical, like a medical book. So that's pretty dang cool. Marie Stopes wrote a book and was published in 1918 that was all about reproductive health. It was called, I have it written down, I guess I don't. Marie Stopes was an author who published a book in 1918 about contraceptives, which allowed women to control their own fertility. It was a 16-page book, and it was free, so it made it so anybody could, you know, control how their fertility. And then Virginia Apgar was an obstetrical anesthesiologist. I'll put it here. So she invented the Apgar score in 1953, which is why you probably recognized her last name. The Apgar score was used to determine the health of newborns, and it is still used today. It probably has been, you know, switched up a little bit because, you know, you learn new things. But that was a big deal-o. Yeah, and it's used all around the world. It's used, like, internationally. So that's really cool. Like, go Virginia Apgar, you know. Chemistry of OBGYN. This is where I'm going to really be looking here because I do not know how to pronounce half of these words, and I'm going to try my best. I even did research so that I could know what they all mean. So, urinalysis is a big part of OBGYN. Of course, you know, determining the health of mother and baby, or just a woman in general who's not with child. So, urinalysis requires an understanding of bilirubin. Understanding of bilirubin levels and their conjugation with glucuronic acid to create a compound that is water soluble. Trust me, I think I understand it. So, glucuronic acid is, you know, glucose, but uronic. Yeah, it's a sugar acid, a sugar uronic acid, and when it conjugates with bilirubin, that then goes through the bloodstream and the urinary system to create urinary bilirubin. And high levels of bilirubin in the urine could be a sign of liver damage or disease. So that's pretty much just like the health of like the urogynecology side of things in a way, but it's also like makes sense with women's reproductive health. Another thing is nitrites. Sorry. If nitrites or leukocyte esterase are detected in the blood, it could be a sign of a UTI, which is, you know, female health. Bilirubin is a yellow compound that occurs in the normal catabolic pathway that breaks down heme invertebrates. So the thing I said earlier, leukocyte esterase, it's a type of enzyme produced by leukocytes, which are white blood cells. Urinalysis can also break down chemical compounds like ketone and glucose, which are used to diagnose things like gestational diabetes. Specifically the glucose part of it. Ketones have nothing to do with it. But gestational diabetes is a huge thing that I wanted to make a big thing of, because it's one of the like actual, like, when I think of like what I want to go into, like a maternal fetal medicine, that's like, you know. Regular diabetes makes it so that glucose isn't regulatable by like a lack of insulin. There's other reasons too, but mainly that's like the main one. High glucose levels could be a sign of diabetes, and, you know, that would require further testing, but that's why glucose, you know, is a good thing to be like, it's a good thing to like recognize. Gestational diabetes is a condition where a pregnant woman who before being pregnant didn't have diabetes develops high blood sugar. Gestational diabetes has few symptoms, but it does increase your chances of preeclampsia, which is a disorder of pregnancy with high blood pressure and higher levels of protein in the urine. Could also cause depression, higher chances of having depression, and higher chances of you needing a C-section. Babies born to mothers with poorly treated gestational diabetes are more likely to be overweight, more likely to have low blood sugar, and my cats have started attacking each other, and more likely to have be born with jaundice. If left untreated completely, you could risk a stillbirth. It could result in a stillbirth. Long-term children are at higher risk of being overweight and developing type 2 diabetes. So it's pretty much just like the health of the future of your baby, the health of you. So that's why chemistry plays such a big part in OBGYN, the whole branch. But chemistry really plays a big part in being a doctor in general. I mean, like, they're both sciences. Medicine counts as a science. Yeah. Why did I question that? It definitely is. Anyways, we're gonna act like I didn't just say that. And lastly, after that, we have the job opening. They're like a yearly cycle, so like every year it's like a new group. So there's no openings for a residency at the moment. But I wrote down that UPenn has an OBGYN residency program that isn't accepting applications at the moment. But the education needed is a bachelor's and a medical degree. And starting salary is $60,757. The two that I looked at, like I looked up Johns Hopkins and UPenn, they both, like, you have to apply in November of 2020, and then for the 2020 cycle, for the 2020 year. 2021 year, I mean. Nonetheless, that's my entire video. I have to go chop this down because it's currently 18 minutes long, and that is terrifying and unnecessary. So, thanks for watching. Bye.